She said that American soccer fans, most of them aren't smart. They don't know the game. They don't understand.
Gio.
That guy Gazpacho.
Performance can take a lame gorilla, okay?
Advice, did you know that Arsenal died?
These got me buzzing.
Up the talkies. It's hard to up them anyway.
I'm gonna comment on that.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Nico at Footy with the boys here on our podcast to break down USA versus Bolivia, the opening match for the United States men's national team of Copa America. We're in that Tyler Adams jersey. Tyler Adams with the start. And 2-0. A 2-0 win today is what we had. If you were with us in the live stream, it was a good time. Enjoyed ourselves in there. Make sure to catch the next one if you weren't. But really, I think you know, that was the standard right there. I think you had to get 3 points there, and we did. A clean sheet, I think, was also pretty needed. Clean sheet delivered. We'll talk about maybe some missed opportunities for some more goals here in a second. But overall, I think pretty strong performance from the national team, especially with a lot of the negativity around the camp lately. So, Mike, just overall thoughts on the game. How'd you think it went?
Yeah, we did what we needed to do. Get the 3 points, clean sheet, never really looked threatened defensively. They had like a corner kick and a handful of long shots, nothing. We're pretty good, created a lot, weren't overly clinical, missed a lot of opportunities, but it was a strong performance, the bare minimum. But that being said, a good way to start the tournament.
Yeah, it did feel like the minimum. I'm glad you said that. I don't want to overhype this performance, but it felt like a positive step. I don't think it was stagnant or anything.
Yeah.
I think it was positive, but it was the minimum of what we wanted to see with what we hopefully should be seeing in this Copa America. We'll say really quickly, shout out to Flags, who is not here today. He's in Korea spending some time with his family. So you heard it here first. He does not prioritize the boys. So sucks to be us, I guess, but we will have him back soon, and I'm sure he'll have some thoughts about this performance on some of our shorts, maybe on Instagram as well. So let's get into it, Tracy, because there's a lot to talk about, and we'll start with the main man, Christian Pulisic, who started off this game very strongly. I think played the whole game very strongly, had a phenomenal goal. I like celebrations for both goals, actually, celebrating with the bench. I like that. I think that shows a unified camp. But yeah, I think Pulisic was fantastic and easily our best player today. What'd you think about CP10's performance?
Yeah, he was fantastic. He's the main man, and he did what the main man needs to do. Set the tone really early. You see a goal go in like that in the 3rd minute. That's the way to start a match. More often than not, we don't start a game like that. We have chances, just don't see it go in, and then it becomes a question of if we're going to score, not when.
The past couple games, how we've started, not well.
Right, exactly. So huge from him. Absolutely set the rest of the match up from that moment. And I liked his play today. Super direct. Took dudes off the dribble. Was looking to shoot. He was involved in the second goal as well with the assist. He did everything. I thought maybe he could have came off at some point just to rest him up a little bit, but I think Greg wanted to leave him out there in case we did get a chance for another goal. Overall, super impressed. Great performance.
Yeah, I mean, he is the main man, and I think that Greg leaving him out there, even when he looked a little hobbled, which he's fine, but even when he looked a little hobbled, I think shows that everyone knows who the leader is. Tyler Adams is a huge guy in the locker room as well. Very happy to see him perform. We'll talk about him a little later in our player ratings, but Pulisic is the guy, and him getting 90 minutes, I think, proves that. And his performance, I think like 25 minutes and 30 minutes in, we were talking, Trace, in the live stream, and I said, wow, I'm so impressed with how decisive he is. And it really felt like he was going nonstop and not thinking things, overthinking things, I should say. He was direct, he was decisive, he was fast on the ball. He ran like 80 yards on the wing in the second half. Like the pace at which he carries the ball is incredible. So very great performance from our first goal scorer. It was 1-0 for a while. And honestly, I don't think we were creating too much to score in the first half. After that, I think we were good. I didn't think we controlled the game, but they definitely didn't have chances. A couple shots on goal, but nothing really serious. And you said it yourself, Tracy. You said we need a second goal coming into this half. And about 20 seconds later, the United States national team delivered because the number 10 again, Christian Pulisic, delivered a pretty basic assist, but a goal contribution nonetheless. To Flo Balogun, who did the rest, shifts it to his left foot, his weaker foot, and really a striker's finish from the edge of the 18. What did you think about Flo today?
Mixed bag, certainly. Until that point, he was really off. Touch was poor. Really early on, even before the 3rd-minute goal, he could have scored if he had a better touch. Just didn't set himself well. I thought his link-up play was okay. He connected well a few times, but then there were other times where he got stuck on the ball too long. And we talk about Pulisic's decisiveness. It was the opposite for Balogun for a lot of the game, where he couldn't find the final pass. He wouldn't take the shot when he had the chance. And then once you take too much time, you get locked down. Those passing channels go away. But then he did figure it out. I mean, that goal is 2 good touches, give you enough space on the left. Goalie's coming the opposite way. The defenders are coming the other way, and you put it across, and that's a great striker's finish. So
that's textbook, bro.
It is textbook. Yeah, mixed. Like, I can't be overly negative because it's a great goal, and I can't be overly positive because he missed some things. So I'd say a 7-2 if we're gonna go like a number.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit higher on Flo. I get what you mean. Early, his touch was horrible. I thought he had like 5 first touches that were really bad, and that kind of shut down some transitionary moments, some final third moments that I think could have led to danger. I don't think, early on, I think he was offsides. If he had a neater touch, he probably could have put it in the back of the net, but I think he would have been offsides anyways, so I'm not going to hate on him too much for that. I think where you and I kind of looked at each other and were like, oh, Jesus Christ, Flo. What was this weird little chop pass he did on a counter right outside the 18? That was poor. That was really poor. But let me tell you, I am very impressed by his finish. Weak foot, bottom corner, opposite side, not a good angle to shoot. I mean, he created space, but he created space to shoot like far post. I thought the goalie did well to kind of be in the right spot, and he made sure the goalie had no chance at getting it. That is an elite. I know Pulisic's going to get all the credit for the finish that he had, but that one feels more like a worldie that he scored, that he pulled out because he has the talent. That's not a goal he's scoring all the time. I think that flow finish is something that he can consistently do. And I don't think we've seen it enough in the national team, obviously, but he has a talent for it. And I was really impressed with that finish. I also think he created some of the space for the Pulisic goal off the ball. It's something we know he has good movement in and around the box. So I'm very happy with this performance. He obviously tapped in an offside goal as well in the second half. But do you think that goal then is enough to keep his starting role for the rest of this group stage, or at the very least for his Panama game? I know Sargent was hyped up a lot coming into this, even with the injury. I don't think Pepe did himself any favors. We'll talk about him later. But would you like to see Flo start at the 9 for this upcoming match against Panama?
I think he has to. Yeah, I like what he offers, and I like the way we play around him more than any of the other options. And I think with that goal, you kind of buy yourself a little bit more time to further cement yourself.
Yeah, I think I agree. I was happy that he started today, even though I expected today to be kind of a crossing game, which we usually see from Greg.
Yeah,
and it wasn't, which was nice. So the style suited him, and if we're going to keep that style, then I think you keep him. And even if not, I think you keep him. I think that goal does buy you a lot of faith. If from Greg Berhalter, if you're Flo there. Speaking of guys who scored, could have scored, should have scored. Let's talk about Ricardo Pepi, who was the substitute for Flo. Came on, and what did you see from Pepi, Tracy?
I felt so bad for him. It kind of felt like Romelu Lukaku in the Euros. Like, he's just not meant to score. He's cursed. Found himself in some really great positions. Thought he worked really hard. But when he got in those positions and had the ball, he just couldn't finish. He had one really early when he came on from Anthony Robinson, where he just
that one was the one that got me.
Yeah,
like that was bad.
It was bad. I mean, he jumps prematurely. His ankle's not locked. That should be a pretty basic how-to 101 striker finish, and it was not. He just completely missed it. And then the other ones, technically makes the goalie make a save, but they're right at him, and he's just got to be burying them. Looks like a guy who's not in form, who hasn't played a lot of soccer, and that's the case. So positioning good, finishing leaves some to be desired. Still a strong option off the bench, but I don't expect to see him relied upon a lot the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, the first one was bad because that one was it was just like, oh man, we could have been running away with the game at that point.
Right.
Because Flo
Yeah.
had that offsides goal, and then it was still in the 60 minutes when that should have gone in. Honestly, the last one might have been worse because he did get good contact. It shot it right
He
at the
got two
keeper,
chances.
bounced off of him again, right at the keeper. The second one was more of like a weird bounce at that point, reactionary. But I don't care if you're unlucky, you have to put that away. So. Two huge missed opportunities. He did do well to force a save out of the keeper earlier, like 5 minutes before that, with a good shot from outside the box. Not enough for me for Pepe, which I think brings up something that Flags was talking about here in the group chat a little bit. But I was surprised personally. I think we talked about it before the game. I think we've been talking about it since the Nations League, really, is that Haji Wright should be kind of the super sub guy. So I was a little bit surprised to see Pepe in over Haji Wright. And then I was very surprised to see Haji get 0 minutes at all with guys like De La Torre and Aronson getting in over him. Do you think it was just because we were already up and we weren't really looking for a goal? Do you think maybe he's fallen out of favor a little bit, or Greg just trusts other guys in bigger moments? What do you think caused kind of Haji to not get a shot today?
I hope it's the game being 2-0 and just trying to see out the results and having a few more guys with more defensive strengths of the game coming in. That's what I hope it is. Because I don't know what he would have done to fall out of favor. I mean, handful of friendlies, and he was astronomical to us winning the Nations League, like literally saved our soul.
Yep.
So I don't know what he could have done to fall out of favor. I think it was just the game. If we're in need of a goal, if we're looking for an offensive talent off the wing or even up top, I think he's still our best option. Brendan Aronson's a fine player, but Haji Wright gets goals and assists, and you can't say that Aronson's a stats guy. So yeah, I expect to see him at some point. Would have liked to see him a day, but maybe Greg was satisfied with 2.
Yeah, which I don't love you saying that Greg was satisfied with 2.
I don't either.
I think Haji's made a believer out of me. Going into Nations League, Flags was talking him up a lot. And I think you were kind of more on his side than my side. And I was like, this Coventry guy, I know he's having a good season. I don't really see it. I think he's proved me wrong. My line of thinking has changed around Haji. I don't think he's a starting 11 guy, but I do think he should be the first guy off the bench. And I definitely think he would have at least gotten 1 goal today if it was him instead of Pepe. Like you said, he just contributes. He contributes to goals. Like he scores, he gets assists. So I don't know why you don't want that guy coming in. I get you're up 2-0. And maybe Greg is satisfied with that, but they were still going for it. They still had all the chances. I personally would have liked to see Haji in there. I think if I see Pepe again in the next game get subbed in over Haji, I won't love that either. Even more so than today after today's performance from Pepe. But I think that brings up another really good point of what you said about Greg being satisfied with 2. Because let's face it, in the second half, the United States was wasteful. They could have scored more. They should have scored more. The Stu Holden on the broadcast said, on a different day, today could be 5 or 6-0. Let me tell you, this Bolivia team was shit. Like, they are not good. They are horrible. So, I mean, I think we should have won by more. Do you think maybe that comes back and hurts us a little bit as we get towards match day 3 in this group, Tracy?
It could hurt us winning the group in the context of who we're likely to play, Colombia, Brazil. I don't think it is going to matter that much. We just need to see out 2 wins in our first 2 games, Panama being next. But yeah, like it is a big accomplishment to win the group, I think. For a team that's not likely to win the whole tournament or make that deep of a run into knockout round, winning a group over Uruguay would be something to hang your hats on. And not having the goal differential, which Uruguay is likely to have. I think they'll hang several more on Bolivia. it hurts our chances to do that.
Yeah, I think something that's been talked a lot, and we've said it a lot, and my kind of thinking has changed here in the past 24 hours, and really as you were talking just there, is that like let's get these first two wins. We're gonna play Brazil or Colombia. Both of those are gonna be hard games.
Yeah.
And let's just, finishing second to Uruguay, they're a favorite for this tournament. I think they're probably the second favorite to win it all, in my opinion. So I think, getting second in this group isn't a bad thing. My thinking is starting to shift. Imagine what you just said. Imagine winning this group. You have a hard game more than likely, like 99%. You have a very hard game coming up. You now have the belief of winning a group that includes Uruguay. That gives you a lot of belief as the camp in the United States men's national team to go think, okay, fine, we're going to play a Brazil that is historically, one of the greatest teams in the world, a Colombia that just spanked us 5-1 and are flying at the moment. But we just won our group. We know who we are. We know the talent we have. And let's go win this and let's get to a semis and let's get to a final and let's make this a Copa to remember. So I do think it hurts them. I think that a 4-0, I think that would have been a fair result today. I think 5 or 6 is a little strong. You always miss chances, but 4 was by no means out of the reach. And I think that if it does come down to goal difference, if you play Uruguay to a draw, I think Uruguay is going to spank this Bolivia team. I think Uruguay is going to beat Panama pretty handily. So I do think there's a bit of a missed shot there, and I do think that is rough. But moving on outside of the goal difference stuff, because again, it's still a positive day today. 3 points picked up is huge. One of the biggest positives from before the game even started was Tyler Adams in the midfield. The return of
Oh yeah.
I think both of our favorite players on the national team. I think that's fair to say. Tyler Adams is the definition of what you want out of a professional and out of a workhorse, and he's just a dog. We've said it many times on here, but that's what he is. Your thoughts on Adams getting the start, on how he played, and on his 45-minute substitution?
I love it. I love it. I love it. Like 3 times over. I mean, he is my favorite player in the team, and I don't know, maybe in the fucking world. Like, I love that style of player. Just an absolute destroyer. He is very talented. He's got a lot of great attributes, but he's not a flair guy. He's a grit player. He's a tone setter. And when we don't have him in the team, we don't have that. So I think he kind of gels his team together. He gets on guys. He lets them know that this is what the expectation is. We got to go into tackles. We pick up loose balls. Hey, you made a bad play, but you can make up with it with pretty much pure effort, and that's what he does time and time again. So I love it. I love it for the team. His performance, I thought, was pretty solid. He looked like a dude who was really hungry to play and had been begging for it all week.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when he got out there, I mean, defensively, he was everywhere per usual. And then when he got the ball, he was surging forward, looking to join into the attack, which he doesn't do all that often, but I thought it worked in glimpses. I hope to see him more. I think the 45-minute decision is a good thing. Get him out there, get his legs ready, let him fit in with his team, and then rest him up so he can recover slowly and get back into match fitness.
Yeah, there's been a lot of players in the camp talking about how he's been, even though he's coming back off of injury, he doesn't look like it, and how he's been elevating these practices. And I mean, he's what a guy. I love Tyler Adams. I think like 3 minutes in, Bolivia had a half a chance at a counter, and he just professional fouls him, and it's over. And that's what he does. He's smart. He runs. He was covering for Joe Scally, who got caught high a little bit.
Yep.
And you're right. He was all over the field, and that's exactly what he does. At one point, like 15 minutes in, I was like, "Oh my God, Trace, do you see Adams like leading the press as a 10? Like he's right behind Flo. Why? How can he be everywhere all at once?" So, he had an impressive day, I thought. Something that you said too that I don't give him enough credit for is that he does get forward. Part of him being a workhorse is he plays both sides of the ball. I don't think he's the best on the ball, but just his driving runs, either with or without the ball, um, is enough to just have an overload of numbers. And now you have an overload of options. And I think that's an important thing that he brings to his team that I haven't given him enough credit for, and that I think a lot of people haven't given him enough credit for. So the biggest thing, of course, is his leadership, his defensive covering, his running. But there's more there than we've been missing that was really nice to have back today, especially in that first 45. Um, his driving is impressive, in my opinion, with or without the ball. That being said, arguably what once was my favorite player for this national team, and who drives the ball, I mean, just better than anyone, was Yunus Musa today. And he came on as a 6, quickly shifted over to more of an 8. And once he got to that 8 spot, which really is his position, he thrived, I thought. Your thoughts on Yunus Musa today?
I was super impressed. I still don't love that positioning for the reasons we kind of have gone over in the past. He is a little too quick to step. He's not a patient CDM by any means. He's not going to look to break lines or slow play it. He's jumping dudes. He wants the ball. He wants to turn and he wants to progress it. And when he does that, I mean, he's phenomenal. There's not a player in our midfield who gets the ball in the half turn and goes by 2-3 guys just like that. I mean, he does it and it's instant attack. And fuck, I love it. And I hope we can find a starting spot for him. That's the dilemma at the moment. 4 guys in 3 midfield spots. Who do you sit? There's really no great answer.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that's the big conversation for next game and moving forward is what does that midfield look like? Because I thought McKennie, we talked about him a little bit back to himself. We'll talk about him more in a second today. He looked a bit better today he hasn't looked awesome lately. I've been a big critic, but he looked like himself today for the most part. Musa, I think Lowe looked better, especially once he shifted to that 8. Tyler Adams, we just talked about. Dog, I think he has to be in your 11. Gio Reyna with the ability to break any game open at any given moment. We'll talk about him a little bit later as well. And then even if you want to toss in like Johnny Cardoso, he's in there as well. Do you think Musa maybe is it time? Is it time to go to that, maybe Musa, Adams, and Reyna, or maybe go back to the midfield that worked so well against England, Musa, McKennie, and Adams? Is it time for Musa to break back into the starting 11? What do you think?
I think so. I mean,
Well, who would you drop then? Because I mean,
that's the
good
issue.
choice.
I think Adams is a must start. Like if I had to pick out of the 4 guys who needs to be in, it's Adams. So
Agree.
then you got to pick between the 3, and then I think it depends on the game. If you're in a dogfight, it's got to be McKennie, it's got to be Musa. If you're in a game that you're going to possess the ball more, you know you're going to have to break down a team, it's got to be Reyna. And I think you have to have the awareness that, yeah, this is my midfield, but I have to change it based on the opponent. I can't be that set on it. So it would be McKennie or Reyna getting dropped based on the opponent.
I think ultimately it's a good problem for Berhalter to have. I think it's a
Yeah.
problem nonetheless, though, because I don't trust Berhalter to make those decisions, if I'm being
No,
honest. So,
not always.
um,
No.
that being said, I do think Greg loves Tyler Adams, and I do think that he's a guaranteed guy in the starting 11 whenever he's fit. So, and I think today proved that. So I trust that as long as Adams is at the base, I think we're at a pretty good spot. I do think, another co-host on this podcast who will not be named, but also is the only person not here. We'll say it's going to be Tyler, Eunice, and Gio. That's what he's
Yeah.
going to say because
He'll stick to his guns.
if you have not been following this podcast, the boy loves him some Gio Reyna flags in Korea. Shout out to the boy, but yeah. I think you go back to the midfield that dominated England. It is your only, I think, standout result. I think it's Eunice. I think it's Tyler, and I think it's Weston. And I've been critical of Weston lately, but I do think he looks good today. And I don't know, the 3 of them just work well. They work well together. We've seen it together, and it's worked well together. I'd like to see it at least against Panama, and see if that's it. And now all of a sudden you have a complete super sub in Gio Reyna, which truly is an embarrassment of riches there. So, you know, difference of opinion. I think the opponent thing is a good point as well. But those are really kind of the big thoughts, the big takeaways from this game. So let's jump into some player ratings here, Tracy.
All right.
And we're going to start off with the keeper, Matty Turner, who came off a fantastic performance against Brazil. What'd you think of Matty today?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to give him a great rating just because he was untested. He made all the saves he needed to, few claims, possession distribution was fine. Thought he made a few good passes with his defensive line, but he's still playing risk adverse. He's going to look to boot it, clear it up the field more often than not, which I'm fine with. You got to know your strengths. And at the end of the day, he's not a great possession guy.
Yeah, I think he proved that against Brazil. The one goal that they scored was a little bit his fault, or a lot
Yeah.
his fault. So yeah,
Rating, give
I
me
think that's fair.
straight 7.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's totally fair. Moving on to our right back, starting today was Joe Scally. I thought he was pretty standard. I don't think he did anything great. I think a couple times he got forward. I think it worked out well for him once, um, but the entire back four really was untested. Um, he was caught high early. I've been critical of his off the ball defending, but other than that, he was fine. I actually thought he tracked back pretty well today after that. Give him a 6. I don't think it was great. Um, I think it's enough for him to feel more confident in his role taking over for Dest. But I don't think there's any moment really that stood out for Scally where I was like, okay, this was a pretty solid performance. He was mostly absent. I'm gonna say 6, but I don't think a bad 6, maybe a 6.5.
I'm right there with you. The one moment is that ball he played to Pulisic, where I thought Pulisic could have done a little bit better on the volley. That
Fair.
was, I was like, okay, he's got a little bit of game. He can play a ball in. I haven't seen that a lot. So 6.5 is right where I'm at too.
Perfect. Moving on to Chris Richards.
Yeah, Chris Richards, untested. We said that, but a few times he was caught in possession, caught dribbling at guys when he didn't need to. Um, Made some situations look shaky when they really didn't need to. So disappointing. One of the underperformers of the day, even though he didn't have much to do. Give him like a 5.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think with Bolivia being so bad late, maybe just in the second half in general, we did get caught playing a little selfishly, a little arrogantly at times. And I
Checked
think
out of
Chris
the
Richards
game,
was a
maybe.
victim of that. Yeah. I don't think it was like anything wrong with him as a player. It was just the mentality, the focus wasn't totally there, which it's a Copa America game, so it should be, but it is Bolivia, and I mean they're historically awful. So uh, a 5, I think, is fair. I'm willing to look over this game though a little bit for Chris Richards. I'm not so sure if I'm willing to look over Tim Ream's performance because I think a 5 is probably what I'll go with as well. I don't think he was worse. I actually think he made some decent tackles that stopped some transitionary moments that could have developed into something. Not that there really was danger, but I thought he stepped up pretty decent at certain points. On the ball, continues to look so shaky. And he did play a couple good passes down the left wing, which is kind of the classic Tim Ream that we like to see. But just some moments where there was really nothing that like there was no danger, and he just passes the ball right to a Bolivian, and it wasn't just once. The really bad one came in the second half. I forget what time around, but a horrible turnover that a
Yeah.
better team will make you pay. Um, but in the first half, he did it a couple of times. I don't know. It seems like his simple passes were left me a little wanting today, and we've seen it a lot now. So I don't know if this is a Tim Ream decline that we're seeing. I still think, I think Greg still starts him. I don't know if I would. Cameron Carter Vickers is there. He looked horrible against Colombia, but I'm gonna give Tim Ream a 5. I'm not feeling good about him or really our center back partnership at the moment, which hopefully gets smoothed over in this Panama game. That's something I'm really going to pay attention to. But that brings us to our left back. How do you think Jedi did, Trace?
Thought he was pretty good. I liked his attack today. And that's what we've been critical of. Defensively, he's always outstanding, great athlete, tracks back well, covers for Tim Ream well. But today he got up, he got the ball a lot of times. He picked out some great passes. I mean, he's unlucky not to have an assist or two. Set up Pepe twice and put him on a platter and just needed to finish. So offensively, one of his more impressive games in an American jersey to date, from my eyes at least. And other than that, really untested, just like everybody else in the defensive line. So the offensive game is what I have to go by. I'll give him a strong like 7.3 out of 10.
Yeah, I think he did some point in the second half, he did like jockey a guy out of position fantastically and win the ball back. So some defensive work there. I don't know if it's his best game to date attacking. I just think it was back to Jedi. This is a Jedi we see for Fulham. This is a Jedi we've grown to expect. And I think your rating is pretty fair. which brings us to the base of the midfield with one Tyler Adams. My bias might be showing, but I'm going an 8. I'm just giving him an 8. I think maybe an 8's a little premature. I'll go like 7-7 because he only played 45 to be fair, but I thought he looked fantastic. We talked about it. And if he played the full 90, I think he would have been our second best player outside of El Capitan, of course. So I think he was phenomenal. I love I love him. I'll do anything for you, Tyler. But more than anything, I love the performance, and I'm proud of the performance. It's good to see him back out there, especially with a good result. He looked healthy. Can't ask for much more from Tyler Adams today. 7-8 will be my final rating for Tyler. I'll let you choose, Tracy. You want Weston or Gio?
I'll go Weston. Weston, solid performance today. Some more trademark McKennie moments. The goal that ended up being offside, kind of orchestrated by him. A lot of one-touch, connecting passes, all comes back, finds the final ball, and then just happens to be offsides. But he was good. There were a few moments I saw him with the ball, shrugging off players, hard to tackle, didn't go down, continued to play. That's what we know him for. Also running towards the top of the box. Not a lot of service in his direction today, but the movement was there. Defensively, wasn't asked to do a whole lot, but I was pretty impressed. I thought this was a better performance, more indicative of what we've seen and what we know he can do. So a strong 7. Nothing special, but nothing bad either.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I thought his interplay was pretty good too, which I think you mentioned. So shout out to Weston, who looked back to himself today. We'll go Gio next. I'm gonna go about 6-8 maybe. That feels about right. I think Weston was the better of the two today. I'm impressed with his work rate lately, especially against Brazil. He's got a little bit more nasty in him than I thought. But that being said, he is there for offense. I don't think he generated that much of it. No flags. I'm not hating. I know Gio's your boy. I'm a fan of Gio too. I'm just saying that I don't think this was his best game. But definitely not a bad game by any means. I think it's reminiscent of his Brazil performance, I thought. So yeah, solid, a good guy to round out that 3. I still think I'd drop him for Eunice, but that's more of a Eunice thing than a Gio thing. So 6-8 is what I'm going to go with Eunice. I'll let you take a Capitan, Tracy. What do you think of Pulisic's performance?
Banger. Absolute banger performance. Dude was doing everything. Unplayable. Like, at the moment, this dude is making a real argument for best player in CONCACAF and one of the best players in this tournament, period. Dude, I just love to see it. We haven't seen Pulisic in form, right, on his club level in so long. And then transitioning straight to the national team, he's not skipping a beat. He looks, you said it, he looks decisive. And I think that's just confidence and knowledge that he can't put a foot wrong. He's confident he could cut right. He knows he's going to have the space, and he knows he has time to hit the ball. And he did it. The goal's fantastic. The assist is not much of an assist, but he's involved nonetheless. It's a 8-5. It's a 9. It's high. It's a really high performance. Thought he could have had a few more goal contributions. Tested the keeper a few more times. Didn't put a foot wrong all game.
100% agree. Very happy that he looks okay after he was limping for about 3 seconds there. So, I'm looking for a golden boot. Come on, Paulie. Let's do something.
Yeah.
Let's put the world on notice, bro. Let's go.
I would have liked to
The
see 2 or
future's
3
American.
Could have had 2 or 3 today.
I
Start
know.
that
I
race
know.
early.
Dude,
for Timmy,
he took that big.
Sorry, Palmer. What?
He took that big right foot. That was just a rocket. It got blocked by one of the defenders.
Yeah, he did cut in and did everything himself. Cut in, took a shot that was unfortunately blocked.
That ball was about to break the sound barrier before it hit that guy.
Dude.
That one was earmarked for the back of the net. So like the entire team, he could have had a couple more, but definitely our best performer. I think a 9 is pretty fair. Timmy Weah, we talked about him a little bit. I think a 7 is standard. This was what I need out of Timmy Weah. If I get a 7 out of 10 from Timmy Weah every game, then I'm good with that. Touchline winger, put in the runs. When the ball comes to you, look dangerous. He could have had an assist. He did have an assist, so it was ruled offside. But there are parts of his game that you can improve that, but I don't think he put a foot wrong. So I'm gonna go standard 7 for Timmy. And to wrap us up at the 9, Tracy, what do you think of Flo?
Flo, mixed bag. We said it in the preview and in a review of the game. Just he had a lot. I mean, the goal was fantastic. It's a piece of brilliance. His touch let him down a few times. He had the opposite of decisiveness. He was indecisive several times. Got caught in the ball too long, but it was a positive performance. He looks like the dude for the job at the moment. Guys play off him well. I think they trust him when they give him the ball in the box, which is a big thing for your striker. I went low and you went high, but we'll split the difference. It's like in between a 7 and a 7.5 for me. Even with the goal, I knock him a few because of those moments early in the game.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, but that finish I think was class for me. So I'm a little bit higher there. But as far as substitutes, just really quick, just toss me numbers, Tracy. What do we think of Pepe? What number?
Pepe, 5. Sorry, Pepe.
Yep, fair. Eunice,
7.5.
yeah, I'd even go 8. I really liked what I saw from Eunice. How about Aronson?
Didn't really have enough of an impact on the game to give him a rating. Yeah,
I think that's true.
6. Yeah,
true of De La Torre as well. So I think that those were the kind of the 4 subs, I believe. So yeah, that is our player ratings for this game. Let us know if you agree or disagree. We're gonna wrap up here, but before we do, just some really, really quick thoughts on the overall Copa expectations, because before this game, there was a lot of things kind of circulating around about the United States national team. Jurgen Klinsmann said the expectation should be a semifinal for the United States, as it was in 2016 when he was in charge. I read an article on Yahoo Sports that calls a quarterfinal loss satisfactory, but not a success. So they're just saying getting out of the group stage is satisfactory, but not a success. Your thoughts really quickly, Tracy. What are the expectations for this tournament after watching this first game? What do you think the United States should do? What do you think they will do?
My expectations, get out of the group, obviously. And then from there, everything is a test. If we are in a quarterfinal match and we lose a dogfight and we're fucking playing, and it comes down to either a late goal or PKs or so be it, that's all right with me. As long as we're performing, we put in fight, that's okay. Semifinals, even better. Like, I think we can beat a Brazil on our day. If we have Tyler Adams in the mix, anything is possible. That dude can stomp teams. He can inspire. It's going to come down to our star players. We need CP and we need Tyler Adams to put in absolute domination. And if the guys can play their roles around, if we can get those 7 out of 10s like we got today, magic can be made. So expectations for me are grittiness. That USA trademark football that we lost against Colombia. Bring it back. Put in some fucking fight. And that's all you can ask for. Once it gets to the knockout stage, it's kind of out of your hands.
You heard it here first. Tyler Adams has taken us to a Copa America victory. These stars of these stars and stripes, Tyler Adams and Christian Pulisic, I think have the capability to carry this team, and we are sure hoping on this podcast that they do for this Copa America. Let the rest of the boys put a shift in, and the queen will rise, as they say. So excited for the rest of these games coming up. The United States national team excited for all of the games. We will be here with you for all of it. Catch our pod on Wednesday talking about the Euros and the Copa. We appreciate y'all checking out this video. Go ahead and click the like, subscribe. Shout out to the 140 subscribers. Get in the comments. Talk to us. Talk some trash. We know you don't agree with us. We're morons. That's fine. So let's get some discourse going. Let's get some discourse going. And let's just have a good ride this summer. Let's the summer, boys. It's a U.S. men's national team summer. That's what we have. Baby. So appreciate y'all. National football is back. Football is back. Catch you later, boys. Peace.